The PTS is currently filled with fun, a veritable pinata of updates. If anyone gets that reference, you get bonus points. We'll take a whack at that and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast estimate today is EPC 355. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Oh, I've been like swooping. I swooped up until almost the last minute on Tuesday. I was swooping for rep and for achievements because I got a bee in my bonnet that I wanted to get those perfection achievements.
Yeah.
Can you? Okay. Yeah, so I actually got a little list going of like tips and tricks. Like me, and you want the achievements, but you're also not a super twitchy, fast reflex type of player. Yeah, so anyway, I got all the perfection ones, but I ran out of time and didn't get to do the ones where you have to hit every obstacle. But next time, we'll have plenty of time. But that was pretty fun. The hardest ones for me were, I thought it was going to be the blatant Vex with all the explosions.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought
but
too.
the hardest one turned out to be Horizon's Razor because the bonus timer is super tight.
Oh, okay.
Super tight. So you have to like do the race course just pretty much exactly the way you intended and not swing wide anywhere and not have to turn around and go back and get something. Well, pretty much all of them are like that. If you have to turn around, you're going to miss the bonus timer. But that was pretty fun. I got into it. And I literally, like the end of the event was 2:00 on Tuesday, my time. I was literally still doing it at 1:30 p.m., just finishing up the last one.
Interesting.
I thought it was actually going to be over an hour earlier when Conquest ended, but the event went on until the actual reset. That they have that hour of Conquest where they're recalculating or whatever,
Yeah.
reviewing, but it was still going on during that time. But I did not finish the story. I did finish the rep on all three,
Right.
but I haven't finished the story yet because I was kind of rushing at the end there, and I didn't want to rush the story, so I will do that next time. And then that evening, then we had MFN, and we started the HK mission, but I was actually hanging out on Section X with a couple other people, and we were just killing stuff and listening to you guys come in and out and doing the puzzles and stuff. So it was a fun. We got a couple levels for some people leveling and um, defeat enemies 1 and 2 on Section X, and I yeah. Anyway, it was a fun and relaxing evening for me. I didn't have to really do anything or see anything or figure anything out, so that was fun. And then we just came from hard mode Dread Palace in our ops night, and we have gotten much better at the early fights. And we did get a little bit of time to spend on the last fight. At least
Yeah.
got to see the beginning of it. Um, it's 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 long enough for me that since I've done this fight when it was challenging for us, that it's like fresh again.
Right.
As
I agree.
opposed to
And
doing
like
it the story mode version, which is not fresh, but yeah,
it feels progression-y. It feels like
yeah,
it's something we have to learn, we have to experience, and even when I completely agree. And I'll
yeah.
talk about it when I don't let me interrupt you and derail your
Well,
what
I was coming up. I mean, that was I'm coming to the end of my prepared statement, but um, yeah. So that's kind of been it for me. So your turn. You can talk about it now.
Thank you, Seema. Thanks for asking. I am doing great as well. I had a
How are
good
you doing, Max?
doing great. I had a good time in Dread Palace, as you said. Let me start there. I'll start there and work backwards. Dread Palace. You're right. It feels like progression. We one shot the first two bosses. We two shot the next two bosses. We're making a ton of progress. We're plowing through there, and we're still casual, so we're like goofing off the whole time we're doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody's like super serious. We're talking and chatting, and once in a while we have to tell ourselves, all right, let me concentrate here for a second because I just wiped the group again. It doesn't happen a lot, but then yes, that last fight, we came to it for the first time tonight, and we mostly remembered stuff that happens, but nobody remembers, well, you got to get them down to this percent, and this is the percent that phase one ends, and this is the percentage that that they'll go up to the throne, and this is so we didn't have that down. The healers have a special job with the cleansing. A couple extra people have to leap up to thrones, and there was a couple things thrown in on one of the guides that we didn't remember. So we're it does. You're right. It feels like progression. It doesn't feel as bad as old school progression because we've got the
No.
DPS. It's
Right.
well, all we have to do is
Right.
learn the fights. We're not hitting any enrage timer in any of the fights anywhere, which is nice.
Yeah.
So it's more just let's remember the fights, what we got to stand in, where we got to do swaps, what the DPS need to do, what the healers need to do, and as soon as we get that down, then we're good to go, which is kind of fun. So I I told the team, all right, let's finish this up. Let's finish Dread Palace tonight so that we can go and do vet mode. Heck, let's just go to master mode ducks.
Yes. Yeah, skip it. We'll skip vet mode.
The reason I want to do that is Kai Zyken today got he has the Apex Predator gloves on him. So go and get those off of Kai Zyken if you want those. I think there were four things on Kai Zyken that are sort of on the best in slot list that you could go and get tonight. The Death Knell cuffs, which are the best in slot, one of the best in slot DPS sets for Assassin. The Apex Predator gloves. The Apex Predator set is best in slot for Arsenal Merc, not for Innovative Ordnance, but for Arsenal, not for dot spec. And then there's two tacticals on Kaizyken as well that are best in slot for healing on Mandos or on Commandos or Mercs. So a couple good things, but because I got my fourth piece of Apex Predator, I would love to get 6 pieces of Apex Predator and try out Arsenal again. I was Arsenal for many years. I was Innovative Ordnance, then I was Arsenal for like 3 years. Then I was back to Innovative Ordnance for the past year. I'd like to go go check back in on Arsenal. You kind of need Apex Predator to really measure up in Arsenal these days. But yeah, that was fun. Swooping was fun. The HK thing we did for the mandatory fun night on Tuesday with the guild was fun. Again, old school enough that going back and doing it again was kind of cool. Theoretica, I had forgotten my walkthrough of Theoretica, so Theoretica is one of my favorite places in the game. The just that idea of puzzles and discovery every time I go. In fact, my subgroup overthought Theoretica. You can only do it with 4 people. We had 16 or 20 people. We broke up into groups. I took my group in, and we did a little bit too much of overthinking, and I couldn't understand the guide when you got into that room with the water that's supposed to be electrified. I'm like, why does the guide look like it's coming from the other side? Well, that's because the water's not electrified until you walk through to the other side and press the button. So we're like trying to like jump up on these pipes, and no, you can't do it this way. It doesn't work because you're supposed to walk through the water. You're overthinking it, Max. So I nuked that one. That's an inside term. I made it too more complicated than it needed to be. But we we found all the data pads. We had fun in the room where all the lights turn off and you have to find the fuse and all the little discovery and the fight the one fight at the end, and it was fun. So yeah, good stuff and good swoop races. I'm not legendary yet on any of the factions, but closing in on it, and I'm having fun with it. Every time it comes up, I run a bunch of races, but I don't run too many. I didn't grind it out. I'm I'm having a good time. So yeah.
I did it, like, over and over because I would do one and I would go, "Oh, I wish I hadn't taken that corner in just that way," and so I would wanna do it again. And I would get to the end, and I would make sure I failed the mission so I could do it again.
Yes. Yeah. It's I I I was keeping an eye out for any achievements in like the perfection, which like I got one or two of the perfections just kind of doing it, but I haven't gotten to that point where I'm doing all the achievements just yet. But kind of keeping an eye out for it. We did that achievement show. We're thinking about achievements. I'm looking at achievements. I'm think I'm going to get to that point too, where I'm going to need all your tips for how to finish all the achievements on the swoop bikes before long. All right, but with that,
Coo. Coo, coo,
let's
coo, coo, coo.
talk about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So in the news, as we do check in every week these days, Bug Watch. Couple things up in the Bug Watch. We had a chat bug that's hitting a couple people. So if something weird is happening to you in the chat where you can't talk in chat, it's a known bug. So check the bug tracker. Maybe there's something there that they'll fix. It doesn't seem to be affecting very many people because not many people chimed in, but enough people to know that it's something that at least a few people are experiencing. Check that one out. The other one that did affect me was there is a patch bug for the PTS. So you'll see this in the dev tracker as well. I did run into this. It's a pretty simple fix. I tried to update the PTS when we're on the PTS right now. I had to do this fix that you see in the dev tracker now. We have to delete this retail client. In fact, this is a typo. It's retail client underscore public test dot version out of your game install folder. In fact, this. Okay, just listen to what I'm saying. Don't read what's in this post because it's. Go to your install folder. Well, no, they say IE. My install folder does not look like this. So go to wherever your install folder is and the root of the install folder, you will find a file named retail client underscore public test, not public text, dot version. Delete that file, then relaunch the launcher, click on the PTS, say I want to update, I want to log on to the PTS, and then it'll update correctly. It'll work fine. What else we got, Seema?
So, I mean, there's also a thread or two for feedback, the stuff that's on the PTS. Right now, the two things they're really asking for focus feedback on are the Feast of Prosperity, which is definitely on the PTS, and you can check it out. You can look at the daily quest. You can look at the assets that are here in the game. In fact, we're standing in front of some of them. The rewards are not here, so don't make any judgments on whether you think the rewards are worth it or not. But just test the mini games and the missions. Give feedback on whether you like them. If you think they're paced right, or should be quicker, or take longer, or be easier to understand, or more mysterious, or something. Um, and I think there might be cutscenes that are missing too that we'll see when we get live. But
Okay.
anyway, there's a thread for feedback on that. Um, and then there's a thread for the feedback on all the conquest changes, and they've actually already changed some of their ideas based on the feedback they've gotten so far. So it's definitely worth it to provide feedback if you want, if you if you don't like something or if you do like something. Um, and it's kind of, I'll just say too, when you read these threads, it's really obvious when somebody gives good feedback and when somebody gives zero feedback. So, like, emulate the people that you can tell are giving great feedback when you give feedback.
Yes, like this glowing martini glass is spectacular. Whoever the artist is that created this. In fact, when we get to it, all of the drink glasses throughout this event, they are a huge highlight in my view. So there, I got to
Well, I
post that
mean,
feedback to somebody
yes.
because,
By good feedback, I didn't necessarily mean that you liked something. I meant
well,
that
that
there's
too.
actual.
I'm sure they would like that. But yes,
Okay, but
constructive,
I don't
useful
want you.
feedback that helps them
You're
create
making
a
it.
better game for
Yes,
everyone.
you're making it sound like I'm telling people only to give feedback when and say they like things, but
No,
that's not what
you're
I
right.
meant at all.
Yes, no, you're correct.
I meant if
Useful
you
feedback.
useful feedback that they can act on, not just like, what's wrong with you guys? This is just nerve upon nerve. I hate it. That doesn't, there's nothing actionable in there. They can't tweak from that. They can't even really know what you're, you know,
There used to
trying
be
to
a
say you don't like.
there used to be a Fred Armisen sketch on Saturday Night Live where he was like this hipster critic, and he would go on the news in the news segment in the middle of Saturday Night Live, and he'd like put up a hold up a newspaper, and it had to have a headline in it,
Right.
like a political headline, and he'd go, you just
Right.
I can't,
He would,
it's just what I mean, just
yeah.
you guys,
He would
what?
never finish
And
the sentence.
because and then he would put it down. That feedback not useful. so so don't do that. Don't do that. All right. Also in the news, something really fun. Not a ton of things this week, but check this out. So this does not show up in the dev tracker. It showed up elsewhere. BioWare.com/digital media. This showed up in their Twitter feed. So it's not just Star Wars: The Old Republic, but Star Wars does have a nice segment in here. Under digital media, they have 4 sets: one for Anthem, one for Dragon Age, one for Mass Effect, and one for Star Wars: The Old Republic, of 6 each of animated backgrounds. If you, actually, there's 9 here for Mass Effect. If you, at your work or with your friends, are doing a lot of video calls and need a background or a backdrop, I do this all the time with my work. In fact, I have a whole library of different backdrops and backgrounds. They're professional and technology oriented, but these are really spectacular. So what these are intended to be is that kind of Microsoft Teams or Zoom background. It's like a little animated video, and it's just an ambient background that you can have behind you. So if you see, like, behind me on my video here, I just have a still of Rishi. I'm gonna switch over to one of these for the podcast next week, and maybe I'll switch back and forth between a couple. Just that ambient background is really, really cool. I love it. I love these, and I like that they've got a whole bunch
Wow.
of them.
I mean, the Mass Effect ones are really cool too. I mean, I had only looked at the SWTOR ones,
Oh yeah,
but these,
look
yeah.
at this. It is so here's so you just see how it flickers a little bit. It just flickers and there's
Yeah.
highlights. It needs to be
Yeah.
subtle. So here's a pro tip for if you're doing a lot of video conferences. Do not do one like this one. I don't like. So this is the windmills on Dantooine. This is too active. It's too distracting. You don't want anything that's very dramatic or a lot of movement. You want something that's just sort of very subtle. And when it's subtle but alive, it's really nice and dramatic. And one of my favorite ones is actually this one. It's the Sith throne room, because it is live, and just every once in a while you get that lightning flicker in the background. I am going to use this at work. I've got a couple Star Wars fans that I have a conference call with every once in a while. This is just great because it's subtle, and they'll be talking to you, and they'll see it's a cool background, but then it'll come to life just that little bit, that subtle little bit, and it has an impact. So check them out. That's BioWare.com/digital media. Very cool. And that is about it. Oh no, so just to update us, Seema, and I asked you for this reminder as well. What else do we have going on? So we just finished up Swoop, so we've got a break this week. Nothing else going on next week, but we do have some
We
stuff to
do still
remember.
have double XP
Yeah, okay.
until October 13th. So, um, like a week and a half from now, or a little bit more than a week and a half of double XP left.
Great. Double XP, double renown, double valor. We have a bunch of people in guild going after all the renown ranks. Renown 999 is an achievement. Valor 100 is an achievement. Valor 100 is an achievement that counts for your Steam achievements. We had a big show on that last week. Check them out. That's a cool thing to go after, and a great time to be doing it right now for the next 2 weeks. Make it so. In community and guild news, what do we got first up in there, Seema? Something really fun?
Oh my gosh, it's today is Daniel's birthday.
Daniel
SWTOR Daniel. So
Steed.
happy birthday, Mr. Steed.
Yes. Noblest Steed on Twitter. Everybody go say happy birthday to Daniel Steed. Happy birthday, Daniel Steed. And hope you've had a great one. I know it's getting towards the end of of the day here for you, but happy birthday, my friend. Um, Also, in a little bit of a sadder note in community news, uh, I don't know if everyone noticed, but the Dolphy site is offline. So Dolphy was one of the key early community content creators. Great website, which produced a lot of guides. In fact, guides that we still use to this day. In fact, guides that tonight, as we were in Dread Palace, looking to what we needed to do on that final fight with the council, we were looking around for the Dolphy site, and we were reminded, and we had known here for I think it's been about a week now. The whole site is offline. You can still find the site in web archives. So web.archive.org is a place where you can look up the cached version of sites that were on the internet in the past. They typically are, it's very slow to load. It's not, it's not going to be a great experience. It's not something that you want to expect that you're going to, it's just as good as going to the original site. But you can find some of this, and I hope that people try to cache some of this content, to go after it and get some of these guides. The chat room's asking what happened. Delphi's she moved on. I believe even a couple of years ago, she had started to expand into some other games. Wasn't doing as much in Star Wars, but was still keeping it up to date. But I believe she started a career. She's she went off. She's doing a whole bunch of other things, and it just wasn't something that she was keeping up with. And I'm sure she was paying hosting cost for this, and it was probably time for that to be done. So it is done. It is offline, but you can still go to webarchive.org and find the guide still. And I've already cached a couple of them that I wanted to make sure I had on hand. If the community goes and does this, for one, that's useful. For two, we have awesome content creators out there like MMO Bits and Zamzam, SWTORista and Volk, and a bunch of other YouTube content creators that are creating guides and new content. And in fact, I know a lot of them are thinking about how can we all get together and create a nice library. SWTOR Spy still has content out there. There's a bunch of good sites still available. So I think there's a few hundred podcasts that might have a segment with a deeper dive into some of the content out there. I don't know. You might need to do a search on that. I think it's Utinicast. That's what I was thinking of. And besides that, a little bit of guild news. What do we got in our guild? In fact, our Fridays are getting busy, aren't they, Seema?
Yeah. So Fridays are basically pretty full. This week is master mode flashpoints. Going after the Aerotech Fire. So doing all the master mode flashpoints that are required for that achievement, so they get the speeder. They're working on the imp side right now. Also on Friday nights, once a month, we have Mega. And then also on Friday nights, we have a new group starting up on the alternate nights from the Flashpoint group, working on achievements. So I think they have a plan on how they're going to attack achievements and how. So worth checking into that. You can just pop into our Discord and ask about it.
Yes.
Mega this month Mega last month was Dread Fortress. Mega this month is going to be something that, it's going to be Fleet Datacron. I knew it was something that was in my brain rattling around in there somewhere. I don't have a date for you, but that's the plan, Fleet Datacron.
Yep. Yeah, we just wrapped up a mega. It was really fun in Dread Fortress. We took 16 people through that. Remember, especially in Vet and Master Mode Dread Fortress, the tanks need to slap their balls with their hands. That's the strat on the last fight. That's the only way you can finish that fight. It's literal. That is not a euphemism. So there you go. And our ops leader always gives me the middle finger on the
I
last fight.
I don't
Again,
think that word
literal.
euphemism means what you
Not a euphemism. It's not a euphemism. It is literal. Is look it up. Literal.
I
The
know it's not a euphemism, but it's not even formed like a euphemism wouldn't be slap your balls.
I guess not. I guess it wouldn't be. If you know what I mean.
So yes,
Testicles, if you know what I mean. I guess that's not really a euphemism. You are correct, Seema. Thank you. Uh, anyway, uh, yes, megas are quite fun. Look those up. And I really like that we're doing those every other Friday. We've got all these rotating activities. So there's that. There you go. Shout out to the chat room, who looks like they're going to be doing some highlights on our Twitch stream this week that we're going to have to be deleting as quickly as we can. Yes, we're having quite a bit of fun here. We will
I
catch.
misspoke earlier. It's Aerotech Ice, not Aerotech Fire. I always get those two confused. Ice and fire and whatever.
Yes,
But it's Aerotech Ice. BC corrects me.
we should make a song out of the ice and fire. That would be
No, we
great.
shouldn't.
With that, let's get into let's crack open a view of what's going on this week in the update pinata that is the PTS.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
So I did have a little bit of what did I say in the intro, which I didn't even realize I was making a reference. It's a pinata filled with fun. That is an old reference. If anyone is an old school original Xbox fan, one
Nope.
of the launch games on the Xbox was a game called Viva Pinata. And to this day, and my son's 23, my daughter's 21. So they were little kids, they were like, 8 and 6 or 7 and 5. And then my youngest was not even playing games. She was just a toddler. We would play Viva Pinata. They loved Viva Pinata, and it's kind of a family tradition. As we're all sitting around the holidays, we're all like either on Thanksgiving or on Christmas. We will often break out Viva Pinata and start a new Viva Pinata garden. The theme song to Viva Pinata was Viva Pinata, it's filled with fun. So that was my reference there. So there you go. Little throwback to some original Xbox. So I feel like the PTS is a pinata filled with fun these days. There are 3 key things that we're going to be diving into. We mentioned them last week. They're in the dev tracker. They're live on the PTS. We're able to get back in here on the PTS. We are here on the fleet where one of the pieces is, but we're going to finish with this one last, which is the feast. First, we're going to talk about Augments, which is my least favorite of the updates. Then we're going to talk about Conquest Changes, which are sort of in the middle. And then we're going to talk about the feast event, which is just filled with fun. So let's kick it off with the Augments, Seema. We mentioned this last week. We talked about it a little bit, but why don't you give us your view of what the Augments are? And we're going to take a little jaunt here on the fleet because we can go grab them and actually physically take a look at them as well.
So there's going to
Appearance
be a new
supplies.
tier of augments. It's controversial in that they are extremely time consuming and difficult to make.
There's going to be a new
So
tier coming out of the corner of my eye because I will never get these Augments.
so I think there's 2 things. One is that they're difficult to make because the mats are difficult to get. That's one thing. And I think what they're aiming for is to give something for people who do rank PvP and master mode operations. In other words, the people who operate at the highest tier of skill level in combat in this game something to work toward, which I think is great. But I think they might have put the target out too far. So like it's the mats drop in Master Mode Ops and in ranked PvP, which that's controversial because not everybody who does Master Mode Ops does ranked PvP, and probably there's not a big overlap between ranked PvP players who like to do or are part of a team that does Master Mode Ops. So maybe they're trying to incent a behavior where those people do play with each other or are forced to play with each other. So that's one issue that people possibly don't like. Another thing is the mats are not a guaranteed drop, so there's a percentage. I mean, you may do the Master Mode Op and then not get one yourself. Then you need a certain number of them from each augment, and then you need 14 augments. So it's actually people have projected out how long it will take to get all the mats to make these augments, and it's a long time. Long time.
Yeah.
Super long time. Like longer than maybe any other thing that you can make in the game by a factor of a lot.
Right. Like if
So
you're
it's sort of
a
like,
master mode
yeah,
ops group running twice a week, clearing 5 bosses every night, it's going to take your whole team half a year to get all the augments and get all the
right. And
materials you need to make the augments.
as like Zen says, you can buy them off the GTN, but only if somebody has gone and done that every week for weeks and they feel like selling it instead of equipping it.
And the prices, so yes, and they even put that in the post where they describe, here's the deal. We have a vibrant, uh, market ecosystem. So for anyone who needs to be getting those kind of mats, or it's gonna be like at least 100 million for each augment as those augments come out of the gate. And I couldn't see them being less than probably 20 to 50 million anytime soon in the next 6 months.
So there's actually a third thing too, which is that all the players that aren't in those two subsets of players that may want them anyway, it's impossible for them to get. So I don't know, maybe BioWare is thinking they could incent like the top tier of veteran mode players to do more master mode and do more ranked PvP. I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but it's really hard for some players to look at that and go, okay, that is going to come from activities that I don't normally do, so I don't need to go after it. Like there's a lot of MMO players, it's part of our DNA that we see that and we think, oh, I want that. Not
Right.
me. I don't want it. I'm fine with it. But I know there's a lot of people who are just like, but that's a thing. I want to get it because it's there.
Well, the same thing
But
happened at the end of the last the last
yeah,
patch, last expansion, when they added
just
those new augments.
just not as extreme.
Right. Right, but I didn't go after them. I didn't, farm up the mats or buy the mats to get the augments at that point.
I mean, Zen is saying I'll spend a bit of credits for the materials and make them myself, but only if the people who do ranked PvP and master mode ops, it has to be the people who do both also feel like selling them.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And for
they would
those
have to say,
mats,
yeah, I mean, they might because they're already operating at a higher level and they don't need the augments, so maybe they won't use them to equip them. So maybe they will sell them.
maybe I think my guess what would be, if you want it in the next, at least in the next 3 or 4 months, you're going to spend at least 500 million on mats.
I just don't think it's going to be a huge market. Like I don't think you're going to be able to sit down at the GTN and go, I want 25 of these, and that there'll be 25 there. There might be 4 there.
Right. 4, 4 for 100 million each.
And you'll need,
the first couple of weeks.
if I forget how many you'll need, but I think for even to make one, I think it's still more than 4.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what the deal is. I get what they're
I'm
trying
okay.
to do.
Yeah, I ultimately sort of don't care because it's sort of above my pay grade anyway. So
Right. It's not for us, which
right.
is
And
okay.
I think that sometimes people don't realize that there's a ton of players who don't have any augments at all and couldn't care less about augments. I know a lot of people are trying to make the argument that you can't do this, it leaves out all the people, blah, 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 blah. But there's a lot of people who never put augments in their
And
gear at all.
you certainly don't need these augments. You don't even need these augments to do any of the content in the
Anything.
game.
Right.
And
right.
if you're a team that's doing progression and you just don't have the you're not at the top skill level that you'd want to be, and you'd like a little bit of cushion, well then that's what this is for. There's plenty of groups out there that have been clearing all of the master mode content in the game without these augments. So it's not like they're
Right.
required to progress.
And actually, maybe that's what this is for. Maybe it's for those players to have a reason to continue doing master mode ops, and the reason is to sell these mats
Maybe. And it sounds
because
like
they won't need them.
Zen will buy them. So
Yeah,
there
yeah,
you
Zen will
go.
buy them.
In theory, these augments are supposed to be available on the PTS to check out and try out. The report I heard was that they were supposed to be on the Spoils of War vendor on the fleet. I do not see them though. Well, maybe. Oh, here.
I'll
No,
come
you
over
do.
and
No,
look.
they're here.
Okay.
You have to click on all. Don't click on your class, your spec. Click over to all, and they are here. So here they are. So let me compare it. I'm gonna get. I need. So let's get a crit augment here and get an accuracy augment compared to the ones I have in my gear. So let's see. I've got.
I probably should take my log mount out of my favorites.
So here's a 74, which is 108 crit and 144 power. Here is a 77, and it's 130 crit and 171 power. So it's a solid upgrade. 30 power and 25 crit. 20 crit and 30 power per augment. So multiply that by 14. And it's a good number. It's not as, my worry was, which would have made it much worse, would be if it was like +7 crit. And it wasn't, it was basically the difference between I forgot to click on my stim today or not. So it's significant. These are a good boost. All right. So it's a little, it seems like it's worth something. I don't know if it's worth what they're expecting, but it seems like it's worth something.
I mean, let's let it play out. I'm willing.
Are you? I'm not.
Yes, I am.
Pitchforks now.
I am.
Torches and pitchforks. Somewhere, where's my pitchfork? I have a couple of them around here. I always keep one on hand.
That's the name of your garage band, Pitchforks now.
Torches and pitchforks. Yep, that's my. All right, so that's that one. Number 2, Conquest Changes. Conquest is a thing that we partake in quite a bit. It is relevant to our interests. Conquest is a change-in. These changes are mostly focused on rebalancing some of the rewards, the conquest points that you get for some of the things that show up every week. There's quite an extensive list. They've posted a couple posts out there on the dev tracker, which show you what examples of the point rebalancing that they're doing. They took some things that were super easy and more designed for people that were just leveling up their characters and made them, gave them a level cap. So you can't do those anymore, like riding a speeder and getting conquest points for that. So my critique satire video, which is also a Fred Armisen reference from Parks and Rec, where I dubbed over the top of him being the foreign leader in Parks and Rec saying, conquest points for everything. Shorter than Moscow, conquest points. Taller than Moscow, also conquest points. Shorter or taller. So I have a whole thing. Go look that up. It's hilarious. Trust me.
It is pretty funny.
Anyway,
Yeah.
they're dialing
If
some of that back.
if he does say so himself, yeah.
The conquest points for every for exhaling on the fleet, those are going away, and some of the other conquest points are getting rebalanced. Now, I was only so on this. You're good with this, so you start, and then I will bring us down
Okay,
after you
so
bring us back up.
uh, so yes, I'm okay with this because I think I'll just spend the same amount of time doing conquest that I did before. I will just have it on fewer characters because it's it's I was selling the mats but not selling them assiduously, like every single week, make sure I'm right there on Tuesday and Saturday selling embers and solid resource matrix and invasion forces. But I will, you know, from time to time. And I also kind of didn't find that it was highly debilitating when they changed the heroic mission target from one mission to two missions. I just kind of adjusted my play to absorb that. And I kind of get so one of the things we look at as a guild and as a group because we do defeat enemies 1 and 2 lots of times on MFN is I think this is probably going to be fine for us in the long run in terms of an activity of a Tuesday night because yes, we won't be getting conquest every turn of characters. We might have the same characters play all night. One thing I'm unsure of is how that's going to affect our ability to hit large target on both sides every week. That we'll still have to see. I hope we can still do that. I don't want to go back to having to switch sides, but if we do, even that won't be a disaster. That's just an inconvenience to me.
Yeah.
So all in all, I'm okay with these changes. Like it's kind of funny that when the points came in and they were so easy to get, everybody was like all the talk about it was like, oh, it's too easy, it's laughable now, blah 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 blah. And now when they're balancing it, everyone's like, oh, you're taking away my thing.
Right.
I think it's gonna be fine.
Right. Which, I mean, that's part of what happens when people sort of live in it for a little while. Then you're still changing something, and it feels like you're taking something away, even if it was laughably easy. My question and my concern, which as you're suggesting may be perfectly fine, was these parts in particular, which was this idea of the defeat enemies and defeat enemies too. And so the kind of things that we do as like an open group are going down at least by 50%. Are getting cut in half, and a lot more of the solo things are getting boosted quite a bit as sort of the balance. The problem for us is a lot of our conquest happens as just sort of an open group. Whoever's around, and maybe we've got 20 people, maybe we've got 12 people. We're doing our MFN on Tuesday night. We have had quite a good experience for the past couple months doing just things like we're going to go kill some world bosses. We're going to do these, the rampages that defeat enemies 1 and 2. If we get through with a defeat enemies 1 and 2 night where we go off for 2 hours and defeat a bunch of enemies, and we're not hitting conquest after 2 hours of
That'll
people
be a
doing
big
that,
change. Yeah.
that'll be a hit. For one, it's only cut in half, and you still get points for killing mobs. So I feel like we'll still be able to hit personal targets. We were also, though, and you were sort of making this point, we were also hitting our guild target. We were getting a lot of points on Tuesday night with that group activity towards our guild target, and we've been hitting large guild target on both sides every week for a couple
Without
months now.
even having to monitor it, it just happens.
Right. Now that's not doing that anymore isn't necessarily bad, but it's a concern, it's a change, and it's something we're really going to have to keep an eye on. If we go back to the point where we can't hit large target on both sides, it is a little bit more complicated for us. It is we have a bunch of new people that are joining in that don't have characters on both sides. That's going to be a hit from a gameplay perspective. The upside to that is what we lost out on when we just sort of automatically hit large target on both sides was we didn't have to do any planning. We didn't have to rally the troops. We didn't have to come in on like a Saturday morning and go, we're only halfway there. Everybody's got to
Come
pull
on,
together.
guys. Yeah, let's do
We
this.
can do it. And then when we would do it, everybody would cheer and it would be a thing.
Right.
But for better or for worse, that overcoming some sort of objective and it just not being handed to you is gameplay. So I'm so on this because of the feel of that general group stuff getting diminished, and like the open group stuff getting diminished, and the solo play, or I'm gonna go do my weekly in PvP that gets boosted, not as interesting to me.
So I guess another reason why I'm okay with this is because if I look back and look at the changes they've made, it doesn't feel like it's going to be restrictingly permanently infinitely permanent, because if it doesn't, there's going to be another iteration soon, like,
Maybe.
you know
Sure. And
probably. And I just want to say too, like, this is maybe a new topic, but as people brought up in the forums, and I think this is a valid point, but it made me think about it because I think there's still tweaks that are required, but sort of like, if, like you point out, there's a lot of stuff with solo play that's really gets a lot of options and a lot of points for conquest. So like if you're doing solo play, like hero rampages and all that stuff, you have like 100 choices
yeah,
and you can do 100 things and they all add together. If your style of play is PvP or GSF, you get like, I don't know how many, but maybe 2 choices.
yeah,
So I would like to see that balance a little bit. Like, so say you just don't like to be out in the world just mindlessly grinding heroics like I do, but
right.
maybe you like to play war zones. So maybe there's a way to make them more commensurate. Like you can just do war zones all day and get conquest points. Like I could do heroics all day if I wanted to and get conquest points.
You still get a ton of points, but you only get you get the same points over and over and over again, and you can still grind it. You can get a million points just doing war zones over and over every day. But to your
Well,
point, I like the idea of the diversity. So what if you got like some points for doing war zones, just completing the war zone, some points for like war zone kills, some points for defense points, some points for healing medals. That would make it a little more interesting, and maybe provide a little bit of diversity. The other thing that I think is weird, and they haven't really explained that I have seen yet, and maybe I just haven't read all of their posts in detail yet, or heard them explain it, is we have a guess, but here, Feast of Prosperity hut, you do the event, or you finish your solo ranked PvP. Both of those, there's 4 of conquest objectives here that give you 100,000 conquest points. Now remember, your personal target is 50,000. So what's with the 100,000? And here, even this one, Star Fortress Weekly, 86,000 points. It's weird. So either this is so that an individual that just focuses on this, on ranked gameplay can make a large contribution to their guild target, and that's what I expect the answer is. Or they just think it's worth it, so you should feel good about getting 100,000 points on one character, even though anything over 50 is sort of like wasted and useless.
I always feel the opposite. If I get like 80 or 90 or 100K on one character, I feel like I've, yeah, wasted something.
Yeah, there is a feedback thread on this. There are some good comments in the feedback thread. There are a couple comments uh, based on some things that we've been saying for a number of weeks now. In fact, we invented it, and I'm gonna just make that point right now. Uh,
TM.
our idea around this in particular was, what if maybe your conquest points were counted up by legacy, and
Right.
every 50,000 points you hit, you got the reward package, both the personal reward and the guild reward for every 50,000. That way, it doesn't matter what character you're on or what you're doing or which character you'd prefer to play to do any of these achievements. And if you did manage to get one of these 100,000 achievements, then yes, you'd get a double hit, but that's fine. And we wouldn't get into these weird situations where, here, like Star Fortress Weekly or Veteran Uprising Weekly. I'm doing Veteran Uprisings. I'm doing it on my character. I do enough Veteran Uprisings to be like, I'm at like 5 of 6 for the weekly. I hit my personal target on that character just because I'm doing like, kills and that kind of thing. And then I need to stop. Because if I tick over and do that last Veteran Uprising, then I'll be at 100,000 on this character. If I switch to another character and do one more Veteran Uprising on a second character, then 2 characters hit their personal target. That's weird. Why are you incenting me to stop playing and having to like remember where I'm at and make sure I don't hit an objective on a character? That's weird.
Right. Yes. It's weird. It's kind of part of the. Yeah, I'm kind of gonna miss that too if we ever do go to a thing where it just is legacy wide, because that is kind of what draws me into it too. Is like I get close and I go, oh, I'm going to switch to another character, but then I still have to go back to that original character that was close and think of something for them to do that will be
right. Do a couple kills or do a couple.
Not too many. Yes, it's enough points, but not too many points.
I mean,
I'm not sure that's what they were after, but that's what I do.
I have done where I've taken a character to exactly 50,000 conquest points. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. No.
And I took a
No.
screenshot. That's a challenge. You want to go try to do that challenge? Go
I
figure
think
that out.
I think once I went really, really close, like 49 something, and I screenshotted to you and you said, "Oh, well, I already did 50K exactly." I'm like, "Oh.
There's that. Oh,
Oh.
wah, wah. But that's cute. That's cute, Seema. That's a little thing that you did there. That's kind of cute.
Your little thing is cute, Seema.
All right. We're not going to dive deep into this. In fact, we're going to save most of it for when it's real, because this looks kind of fun. It's another event. I'm sure we're going to do a whole show just on this event, but let's spend the next 10-15 minutes on this, Seema, the feast.
Yeah.
So it starts on the fleet. The event is here on the PTS. You can come and check it out. One of my favorite parts of what you see available to you in this is the new graphic elements and items, models, and things that they've added to the game to make this feast event. And you see a little bit of that on the fleet, so it's spread around here a little bit. There's a guy you talk to who's sort of like the breadcrumb to start up the event. That's this festival crier, Togruta here. This isn't necessarily final. In fact, this is so not final. Dolphy did a nice little video where she did a walkthrough.
No.
Not Dolphy.
SWTOR.
Ah, poor little out for the Dolphster there. SWTOR, who is a gem and quite in everything we could ever want on for out of a content creator. She did a cool little video. When did she do this? Here, let's go to it, because I noticed
Hello.
a lot of the graphics are different. So she just did it a week ago. If you look at what's in her video, even what's here on the fleet is different, and what's on Nar Shaddaa, which we're going to go to in a second, is different. It's close, but it's a little bit different, and the graphics are different, and the layout is different. So they're tweaking it for whatever reason. In fact, I mean, I don't think it's bad. They didn't ruin anything, but some of the things I was seeing in Delphi's video, or geez, I did it again. SWTOR's video, I was thinking, oh, I kind of liked how it was last week a little bit better. I mean, they're making stylistic choices on a couple things here and there. So it starts here on the fleet. It could continue to change, but definitely keep an eye out for some of the fun elements that they're putting in. Like here's one to kick you off on the fleet. This droid here, check out this martini glass that he's got. This has existed elsewhere in the game already, but there's some other glasses I'm going to show you that haven't. this is super cool. I need these. I need a set of these for my stronghold. So let's go to Nar Shaddaa, Seema. I don't have a Nar Shaddaa stronghold on the PTS, so I have to physically go to Nar Shaddaa via the spaceport, and that's disturbing. Oh wait, can I Control G? Pro tip: always do Control G heroic missions. Yeah, oh I can. Here's a quick travel tip for everyone. Zen and BC are masters of this. BC uses it every night when he organizes our mandatory fun nights. Using heroic missions as travel bypasses the spaceport to get to planets. Great little pro tip there. So Control G, go to the heroic missions, travel. Now I'm traveling directly to Nar Shaddaa, and I won't have to walk through the spaceport, because you cannot use quick travel in a spaceport, because quick travel is a shuttle coming to pick you up. And why would shuttles be able to meet you at the spaceport? That makes no sense whatsoever. There we go. Slow.
Got that one done.
Deep breath. Exhale. It's my little mini rant for the day. There you go. Give you that one for free. A little bit of a slow load screen here getting into Nar Shaddaa. Maybe I should have gone to the spaceport. That's how they're punishing me now.
I'm still loading Nar Shaddaa. It's like,
yeah, that's
maybe I
what I'm
won't
saying.
even get in.
No,
oh, you did?
I mean, now it's finishing up, but it was a long load screen. And I have like all the speed boosts on my rig. I have like 2 SSDs, one for the boot drive and one for the game engine, and I've got and it's the fast.
I don't know why. I've got 2 SSDs.
And I got one of those new Intel Intel motherboard slot chip versions that got the extra cache, but I'm at the spaceport, but I'm not in the spaceport for the heroic. So you go to the promenade. That's where you will meet the 2 huts that are running the Feast of Prosperity. So what you're going to find as you get into the event is there is story, and we won't go into it too much, but there's 2 huts that are running the event, and they each will talk to you a little bit. Oh, where are you summoning me to?
The promenade.
See, my SSDs are water cooled, Zen, actually. It might have been a joke, but my boot SSD is water cooled.
That's it. SSDs with RGB.
Notorious.
Now they have the new
RBG,
kind of SSDs that are the hotness.
Bader Ginsburg. So it's upstairs, I believe. Yeah, I think it's upstairs here. So we won't spoil the story, although I think there could be some shenanigans. I think it could be, you'd expect huts to be scamming you, and I think there's might be competing agendas. So listen close, watch close. I don't think we know the whole story yet. The cutscenes aren't complete, but it's 2 huts, in theory working together, but you get a little bit of a different story from each one of them. And there's some interesting things developing. So I think we're going to get a little bit of fun stuff to check out there as we see the story evolve as part of this as well.
I mean, we already know from Dr. Ogurub that huts are not, not every hut is the same as every other hut.
Right.
Just like in other areas of life.
Exactly.
So maybe they are what they say they are. We'll find out, I guess.
So here is my favorite part of the event so far: is these drink classes. I don't know why I'm so amused by these, but this is my favorite part of the event. So look at these ones over here in particular. That's the tall glass. It's got the purple one. It's got the green glowing, and they're like glowing. It's got these little barrel shaped. It sort of looks like a Moscow Mule mug, but they're glowing. I would love these in real life. In fact, I've made these in real life.
Yes,
I'm a big fan of Halloween,
Co-
and I've
yeah.
done multiple different kinds of drinks for Halloween parties that I've thrown with like mini glow sticks and dry ice in drinks, so that the drink is like glowing and bubbling, and that's a cool thing. I've
This
done
this also reminds me of that gin you told me
yeah,
about, where you put different things in and the gin turns colors.
Empress. So look up Empress Gin. Look up butterfly pea flower extract, which is a phenol color changing dye extract that you can put in drinks. So as you add a little bit of acid, it turns from purple to pink. So you can do things where there's acid frozen in ice, and then as the ice melts, it bleeds pink into the purple of the drink. And then I've done things with food grade glitter also. So imagine a martini with swirls of purple and pink and food grade glitter. That's what I was making for my family around the holidays this year. And I don't even drink hard liquor. I drink straight whiskey.
While you were playing Happy Pinata on the Xbox.
Viva Pinata.
Okay, Viva Pinata.
But it's filled with fun. Yes, you are correct.
And it was happy too, probably.
It was happy. But yeah, so I love these. I'm gonna make versions of these in real life. The glowing Moscow Mule version there. I like these tall ones even better. I need some of these for my bars and my various strongholds. And then Dolphy did a call out on her video. She did a squee.
SWTOR.
Dang. Wow.
What is it with you?
Well, because we were all on about it, and it's like,
I know. You get something in your head and it's hard to like turn away from it.
so SWTOR loved this, and she wants one of these, and I agree. This is quite cool. This droid here, this drink droid.
She did love it. Yes.
she squealed over this a little bit. The martini glasses are super reflective and shiny, and the little eye globe
Yeah, the droid
on
is
it
shiny. He's
is
super shiny.
very shiny and pink, and he's got the little towel. It's got the little towel. Don't mean
Yeah.
to assume it's
Yes.
gender there. Sorry, droid. Very cool. So here's one. I mean, like, here's a couple things that I noticed that were just changing between last week and this week. There's like a little menu that you come to. The menu has changed. In fact, I like the older menu because it looked like a menu. The new menu is kind of cool because it's animated, but it looks like a bar chart. But they're tweaking the graphics. And then in fact, I can't even do it because we just got here. Maybe, oh shit, dude. Now the podcast is running long anyway. We'll do a full breakdown, but
Yeah, we will.
You can see in SWTORista's video, she did go back into the kitchen where the mini games are. So as you talk to the breadcrumb on the fleet, and then come here and talk to the two huts, it will open up a weekly and a series of daily mini quests, mini missions here. There's two that you do here. One, you become you go behind this door here into where the banquet hall is, and you become a astromech, and you serve meals, and you have to serve them to the right group at the right time. And there's a dashboard of the meal setup. And the second version, there's an easy and a hard version of you becoming. You just need to go into this other door, and you walk in, and you need to help out the chef droid to put the meals together. And it's a cooking version of add the right ingredient at the right time kind of thing. Did you see those in the videos, Seema, or did you try it yet?
I saw it when Daniel Steed was doing it on the live stream.
There is this kind of of cooking, add the ingredient to the right thing in other MMOs. It's a version of that. It feels very familiar to me from that perspective, in a perfectly fine way. I think it's gonna be fun. I like that it's a twist. I like that it's the new theme, and I really like the art. This part of it, I think I'll do a couple times. I'll do it till I get enough of the rep and buy the things I want. I don't expect to repeat these parts too much. There is, though, a group part as well, which is
There is.
What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, where you need to go
I'm listening.
you need to hunt some world bosses. So
Hmm.
one of them is, hey, we could
You
use some
interest me
ingredients,
strangely.
like check out these crazy dishes that you need to help create, because these exotic dishes bring in the big donors, and they're trying to raise funds to feed the needy, quote unquote. And again, it's huts, so who knows what they're doing with the cash, and that's what I'm gonna need to discover. But some of these exotic ingredients you might need to go find. One of the ways you go find them is to maybe go hunt some whiskers from a really exotic ice cat, and Snowblind. He's a really big exotic ice cat, so maybe you need to go hunt Snowblind and get some of those exotic whiskers and bring those back to help create these exotic dishes. All right, that kind of thing, where we have a group spin where we can get our guild together and go after a world boss as part of an event. We love that. That is something we do every time any one of these events comes up, and we do it over and over and over again and have a lot of fun with it. So what do you think of that part, Seema?
I'm consciously what's the word? Cautiously optimistic, because I mean, world bosses can be yes or no for me.
Right? And why don't you explain?
Well, since we do our group content night, open night for the guild, which is MFN, we do it on Tuesday nights. If it's an event week, it's typically hard to do event world bosses because there's a lot of other guilds out there doing it, and I don't
Yeah.
want to I don't want the activity to be us trying to steal the kill away from some other guild. That's just not
Yes.
fun for me. So, um,
Right.
lately, like for things like Gree and Rackle, we really haven't had too much trouble finding the world bosses. So it's been fine, but I would rather have a lair boss like the Eyeless.
I completely agree. I completely agree. In fact, we should give that feedback somewhere. I would not want to. And if we go somewhere, say we all have to kill Snowblind on a Tuesday, that is going to be really ridiculous to try to get done. If we go there, even if we've got 20 people, we're raring to go, and there's like 3 or 4 people, and they're like trying to summon their group there. We'll back off.
Yeah.
I don't like trying to jump ahead of somebody. I don't like trying to, well, quick, pull it before they get there, because then we get it and you.
Or try to tether it so that they lose aggro and
That
blah
was the
blah.
worst when that kind of thing would go on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's just a few people there, we will always try and invite them if they're the right faction, the same
right,
faction. But yeah. So it could be great though. We'll see. And the other thing is, the world bosses for Rackle event and Gree, they spawn pretty rapidly. They're not like the
right.
2 to 4 hour wait. They're more like a 20-minute wait. But still,
In
yeah.
fact, I would ask BioWare to put them on the uh the Osis. Is it Osis? It's one of the old planets.
Yeah, Osis, yeah.
It's
Where the two world bosses
Yeah,
there.
the 2 world bosses that are like on a 15-minute respawn timer. If you're gonna
Yeah.
make that like an event, don't lock people out for 2 hours, so that like
And they might have, I mean, to be fair.
that would be great. But no, I would take all of the world bosses, is what I'm saying. I'd take all the world bosses currently in the game and do that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Why not? Let's open them all up. Don't
No, I agree.
let 16 people, or 8 people kill, Trapjaw on Tatooine, and then nobody else gets to do it for 2 hours. No, that's
Especially ones like Trapjaw where you summon them. Why, just make them infinitely summonable. I mean,
yeah, really,
at
really,
this
yeah,
point, yeah.
right. Why not? In fact, definitely make them infinitely summonable, because if we just summon it, I still want the new player whose first time is on Tatooine to be able to see that glowing skull and go, "Oh, I wonder if this is a lore object,"
Yeah,
and click
right.
it.
find out. It's a world boss.
Find out that it is not a lore object. That is the best ever. Click all the blue things. Click all the glowy blue things. But yeah, so I hope it's a bunch of world bosses that we're asked to go after. I hope it's not, like only Snowblind. I would love it if it was, as you said, maybe it would be Lara bosses. Maybe we have to go kill the World Breaker Monolith. Maybe we have to go kill the Golden Chicken on Makeb.
I love that golden chicken.
That would be great. And let's do more of those and tie that kind of group activity into these events. And for us, that gives it the most longevity then. Us being able to go kill the Eyeless every time that the Rakghouls come around, and his spectacular intergluteal cleft is a
Zen
highlight
had a
for
good
us.
idea, like maybe make some kind of a really expensive item that you could use to summon a world boss.
Sure, make it a credit sync. Make it a group effort. You have to, everybody has to go find a bunch of whatever thing. Sure, that's a really good idea,
Yeah.
Zen. Make it a party. Oh, Comcast is kicking me out of the game. Off
Dang
the
it,
PTS.
Comcast.
But yeah, so I like the mini game part. I like the fact that they're adding an event at all. I really like the art, and any kind of group stuff they can add to it, I think is really going to seal the deal for us.
Yep.
So that's what I'm looking forward to the most out of this. Okay, so 3 things that we've experienced on the PTS so far, Seema. My order of what I liked and didn't like would be, I like the Augments the least. I like the Conquest Changes. I'm going to have to see. I'm reserving judgment. And the event to me looks really fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. So
Same.
what about you?
Yeah, I would say the
Same?
same. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the event. I'm like you though. I don't know how long I'll do the dailies.
Yeah.
If we end up getting the rep right away, then I don't know. It kind of depends. We'll see what the
I
if
will
there's a
do the
reason for doing
dailies
them beyond getting
every
the rep.
day, every time it comes up, if that's what it takes to get these glowing drink drink cups. Look at them. They're
Well,
so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, what if there's a currency where a certain number of tokens will buy one of those decos and you can get 100 decos of that cup? Would you
What if I
you
have
would
to
probably get
do ranked PvP to get those? Would I do ranked PvP to get those drink cups?
Yeah, would you?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I would
That
say
is a tough
probably no, because as much as I like these drink cups, weapons that are on fire, I really, really like. That might be the only thing I like better than these drink cups right now. And I haven't brought myself around to do enough ranked PvP to get my weapons on fire. I have my reduced version of that is these, which are close. They're almost on fire. They're sparking and smoking, and a little bit of flame comes out, and that's satisfied me to as much as I can get without having to suffer through a season or 2 of ranked PvP to get the weapons I would really want. But now I'm still a little bit disappointed. Now maybe I think I should just go do ranked PvP to get the weapons that are on fire. See this gun show, Seema? I just want to say welcome to the gun show. There you go. Check that out. 2 tickets to the gun
Those
show,
are
if you know what I mean.
Yes, those are guns. Yes, they are.
All right.
I do know what you mean.
As we had a raid here in the chat room, we've got a bunch of people coming in. We will finish off the podcast here and talk to everyone in the post show here in just a second. But I think for the actual podcast, I think we're about good for tonight. As I said, once this gets a little bit closer to release, probably when it gets released, we'll dedicate a whole show to this event in detail, and then I'll be able to show off. I hope I better get these on a vendor to get these drink cups, because they're the best part of the event so far.
Yeah.
But we'll dig into it.
Max needs his drink cups.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a version of this in real life. I'm gonna make some kind of version for Halloween, for when we do our Halloween show. When are we gonna have a podcast on Halloween? Let's see, it's the 31st, so we'll have to do our 27th. The podcast on the 27th will have to be our Halloween podcast for Star Wars: The Old Republic. It'll be our, you know what the title of that podcast will be, Seema?
What?
I have spookin'.
Oh,
Because it's gonna be
oh my
spooky
God.
for
How did I miss
Halloween.
that one? How did I miss that one?
So, so there you go. All right. So with that, I think we're ready to wrap up this non-spooky version of the podcast. We're ready to kick our EPC 355 droid, 355th droid out the airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you. Please keep up with us on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, where I put out the show notes and the link to the show at Max the Gray. And where you can really get in touch with both Seema and I on a regular basis is on Discord. You can find our
Yes.
guild Discord at aie-guild.org. There's a Discord link in the upper right. We have guilds on both the Imperial and the Republic side of Starforge. And we would love to have you in our guild. That's why we do the podcast. That's why we do the show. That's why we maintain the guild on both sides there. And we have a lot of fun. We have events weekly on Tuesday nights. We have, well, now it's Tuesdays and Fridays, our open guild events. Every Friday is rotating at 2 different events. Every Tuesday is a big open guild fun night. And then once a month, we have a bigger mega event where we're inviting anyone on the server. Really, anyone on the server could be coming any of those nights. You don't have to be in the guild to do those open guild nights. We have 5 ops teams running. We would love to have you in there. And with that, aie-guild.org, come talk to us, and we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.